I really want to talk about AI and AI agents. What a surprise. It's 2025, old, bald, white guy wants to talk to me about AI. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about some real examples of it, though. Do you know, I get really frustrated with theoretical conversations about AI. It's really boring, isn't it? Are you not all done with it? Oh, AI is going to give a Terminator chasing me down. It's rubbish, okay? I want to talk about how some of our customers have actually used this. I want to talk about how working with CACI and the AI Data Cloud from Snowflake, how we have kind of partnered together to really help bring AI into reality, to actually have an impact, to give insight, to give experimentation in a way that's meaningful. So I'm really going to talk about how do we empower marketers. The thing that's really annoying me about the media right now is apparently if you're in marketing, you should be changing your job, okay? It's dead. Marketing's dead. I don't believe it. When we ran AI decisioning campaigns with organizations that had terrible creative, nothing changed. People got sent the same terrible creative at the time they wanted it, through the channel they wanted it, about the subjects they wanted. But the content was terrible, so it didn't have any impact. I actually think what I want to talk about is how do we empower, how do we supercharge our marketers that sit inside our organization, and how do we create this marketing super brain inside our businesses that helps us really give marketers the reach that we need them to give. We talked about personalization. Secret here, I'm not a fan of personalization because I don't think it works. Because organizations take 10 marketers and try to personalize to 40 million customers. How is that personalization? Oh, we'll call you Mr. McEwan. That's personalized. Or we'll show you a content block for the winter because you sent us an email in January. No. Personalization, the clue is in the word. It's a one-to-one relationship. It's personable. And how do we really help marketers to build that? Well, we're going to talk about that today. It would be remiss of me to have my chums at CACI. Paul and I have known each other for a very long time. I'm obviously a much younger version of Paul, as you can tell. But we seem to have the same taste in restaurants and tailors. But I've been working with CACI for about 20 years. And we've really been focused on covering the gap between technology and the consumer. Because it really does all start with data. It really all starts with that foundation. And now we have this fantastic world where the AI Data Cloud, the AI Data Cloud allows us to forget about organizations that ask you to copy all their data and store it in some monolithic database out in the cloud somewhere, and that's going to be your single source of truth. Thank God for the Snowflake AI Data Cloud, because now actually your storage infrastructure is kind of your CDP. That's really your customer data platform. What you really need is an ability to kind of get some data in and out of it, understand, match, stitch the people that are in that, and then more importantly, try and build some real-time efficacy into it. This is the other thing that we kind of fell foul of. Everything must be real-time. It's got to be real-time. And what we discovered is, actually not a lot needs to be real-time. If I need to interrupt a session with a customer to push something that's relevant to that session, yeah, that probably needs to be real-time. Otherwise, if I'm just updating a consent preference because someone wants email instead of a text, that probably doesn't need to be real-time. I mean, people in the legislation team might disagree with me. But the truth of it is, really the data needs to be stored in a quick, cheap, manageable, structured manner that's available all day long. And that's why we partner with Snowflake, because we really sit as that orchestration layer, that air traffic control system that sits on top of Snowflake, that allows you to do that matching, stitching, allows you to do a real time. That's the last time I do some selling, I promise. We do it with Snowflake and a ton of big customers. This is the other thing I want to talk about, not that I want to show off a customer list, But the truth is, all of this stuff's really cool when the sales guy shows it to you on PowerPoint. It's a lot harder to do at scale. It's a lot harder to do when you've got millions of customers. It's a lot harder to do when you've got marketers who are not data scientists and who are not data engineers. I heard it, we went to see Accor Hotels the other day, and I stole this phrase because I thought it was brilliant. The head of marketing at Accor says, oh no, we don't have marketers anymore, we have marketing engineers. That's what he called them. I'm like, oh no, here we go again. Okay, we're going to ask people that are great at creative to become engineers now. So really, what I want to talk to you about is creating those marketing engineers. Okay, how do we really create some AI decisioning? What does it do? What have our customers done with it? And what is this marketing superbrain I'm talking about? We went around a couple of our big CMOs that sit in one of our big organizations and many of our big organizations. And we said to them, hey, talk to me what do you do in marketing to run a campaign? And they pulled together a series of terms. And when we put them on a slide, it scared the willies out of me, quite frankly. Everything from research to analyze was a multitude of steps. All of them were manual. If you could overlay Scott Brinker's MarTech slide on top of this, can you imagine how much of a headache you would get looking at that slide? So hundreds of functions and hundreds of tasks. 349 manual tasks we got. Oh, by the way, this is an organization that's spending something like $43 million a year on MarTech, as well as doing this. And what it really means is marketers really don't have time to do their jobs anymore. Remember what we talked about at the beginning with AI decisioning, sending content to people in a way that's relevant and timely? I really wish I was a marketer that could actually build some impactful content that resonated with customers that sit inside my organization. Because I've really got no time for any experimentation in my business. It takes me months to really understand basic cross-sells campaigns, just not getting that data back quickly. Customer behavior is ever more dark and disturbing. We don't really understand causality. We don't understand effect. This concept of causal AI, which is really exciting, we're going to talk about later. How do we build these what-if scenarios into our marketing stack? A rebel rouser at the back. We can't really measure what's working. We can't really see what the metrics are. And do you know what? This is the saddest thing in the world. My wife's a marketer. She's a really good marketer. And the thing that makes her weep the most is execution has replaced what was a craft. And a really hard craft. Getting people to pass that moment of truth that marketers so much like to talk about. That's the minute when you're just about to press buy on the screen, or you're just standing in the store going, oh, can I afford it? I'm not sure I can. I'm going to do it. That's what they're trying to influence, what they call a moment of truth. That's what the job used to be. Now it's about deploying multitudes of campaigns. And now we've got this brilliant uphill battle with our customers. Channels. Which channel should I read in the morning? I sit in the morning with my iPad, highlighting all my Gmails and deleting them. Anybody else do that? Yeah? So we're agreeing that email's not an outreach tool anymore, yeah? And now I'm kind of saying, you know what channel? Is Instagram a channel? Obviously I use TikTok because I'm very young and relevant. Is TikTok a channel? Is a TikTok shop the way that I should be talking about my products out there? Who should I be addressing? Householding is one of the hardest things to do in technology. What do I mean by householding? Well, you've got one house and now we've got 4 buyers in that house. You've got 2 adult representatives. We're not gender specific in this world anymore. We've got perhaps 2.2 children that sit underneath them. Who's the buyer? My 14-year-old daughter is following in my footsteps by buying clothes from charity shops in Exeter, cleaning them up, tidying them up, and selling them on Vinted. Making so much of a profit that when I went shopping with her the other day, I said, would you like some money? And she went, oh no, I'm fine. Alarm bells. No, she is now one of their premium customers. She's making about £400 a month. Selling, she's now decided that sequins on clothes is the next way to add more money. The apple does not fall far from the tree. Fantastic. But how do we get these changing customer behaviors to really resonate in a way, and who are we talking to? Now we get the really boring slides. We've got these audiences. Audiences, they drive me mad. We spend millions of pounds on marketing technology, and then we book a conference room off the M1. We fill it full of HR people and red wine. For 3 days, we try and figure out who our audiences are. We come out and we think we've really nailed it. It's 2025. The clue is in the data. Please, can we throw the data at an agent? Please let that agent tell me who our audiences are. Now we've got these kind of generalized cohorts. Who's seen the LinkedIn thing about the two 70-year-old men who were born in Surrey, earned a certain amount? One's the king and the other one's Ozzy Osbourne. Brilliant audience, yeah? That would have really resonated. How do we really get these kind of manual marketing calendars? Anne, who is my amazing marketer, gives me so much jip because I always ask to see the marketing wall planner. She reminds me that I'm not 21 anymore. It's not linear anymore, Lindsay. We don't put Gantt charts on the wall and put events in it. But this is how people are still doing marketing. Triggered campaigns. We've talked about personalization and the complexity of it. We've talked about rigid rules. When HelloFresh wanted to implement AI decisioning to re-engage dormant customers, they started their campaign and suddenly realized there's no rhyme nor reason why people, there's some rhyme, a little bit of reason as to why people re-engage with HelloFresh, but there was no simple linearity that they could build into the plan. Complexity. And now we've got AI. We've got Snowflake in the middle. We've got all this marketing stuff on the left, and then we've got all this customer-facing stuff on the right. AI will transform marketing. A marketer will come into the office first thing in the morning, and I was speaking to golf breaks earlier. Guy. Someone will walk into the golf breaks. They've got, how many people have got in marketing, Guy? 20 people. 20 people trying to market to how many customers?
There's 500,000.
500,000. That's not really one-to-one, is it? That's not really personalized. But there is a world where those 20 marketers are going to come in, and that agent that's been operating on the data on the weekend is going to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Marketer, we've noticed that this golf trip in this region is going through the roof because the flights into that part of the country are significantly cheaper for this time of year. You should run a campaign to these 4 audiences at these 4 resorts in these 4 locations. Because it's been analyzing the data that sits in the AI data cloud. It's been running a series of agents that sits on the marketing side. It's been looking at the audiences and understanding the RFM scores of the people that sit inside that database and who are the right people to send on this. It's been building content based on your creative. Slightly worried that last week, I don't know if anybody noticed this, last week we passed the point on the internet where 50% of what is produced online is now fake. And ChatGPT is running LLMs on the top of that. That's a bit confusing, isn't it? So what is right? So this is the ability for these organizations to run ChatGPT on their own data. And the Snowflake Data Cloud is producing some fantastic models with Cortex that's really allowing their organizations to look at what are people doing inside the data? What is the audiences looking like? They're running an approval process without getting anybody out of bed and pressing a button. They're building a campaign. They're looking at a brief and prioritizing who goes first. They're analyzing it, and then they're sending it to each one of these channels. And Guy's 20 people are using agents to give that one-to-one personalization. Because Guy's got 500,000 agents running inside his marketing organization. And his marketers have a very simple UI that allows him or her to apply actions, insight, or experimentation to those agents in a meaningful way without having to be that amusing marketing engineer that we talked about earlier. So it really unlocks this new brave new world of agentic, authentic marketing. We're in technology, we like to destroy the English language. Mega trends is a great example. Someone said to me the other day, it wasn't in the Snowflake AI data cloud, I'm pleased to say, because Manal would kill me if I said this. It was one of your competitors who talked to me about that the customer hadn't hydrated their data enough. You know we're months away from wet and dry data, right? But this concept of taking traditional segments, pushing it through, some experimentation, some A/B testing, looking at some outcomes and going again, changes completely to you defining the outcomes before you send them. You're providing all the possible content that you're needing to send to any one of your customers. And that agent, it's learning. It's scoring content. Let's think about that for a minute. It's scoring the impact of eyeballs on content and then refining the content based on who's looking at it in nanoseconds. And then refining that content again to make sure that the right content goes out. It's still got to be fed by a huge amount of marketing collateral and production, but they're taking all these images and figuring out what fits and what hits best. I think it really hit me when I was watching the Formula One in Las Vegas. Never mind that just incredible ball, the sphere, which has a picture on it every time they went round. That was amazing. They were talking about tire wear and how they simulate tire wear on the cars. And they make 300 million different patterns and programs for an agent to run to figure out exactly when their tires are going to fall apart based on the tire temperature, the air temperature, the tire composition. And they're doing that every 30 minutes. So as the race running, they're just plowing so much data, and they're just plowing this into these learning models that are constantly refining that tire degradation in real time. They're constantly looking at the content that's going to resonate best. And they're doing that in a one-to-one manner. Why? Well, this is personalization. Having a single person to figure out what each consumer wants to see. I want to see a world where when Paul and I log in to a website, it's completely different for both of us. A website should be a UI for the content that Paul and I look at as we log in. One of the things that's really blown us away in the last 9 months of playing with agents and experimentation is how quickly we got insight and experimentation. It was, when we started selling this to customers, we promised them lift. Do you know what? This is going to make you more efficient than a human. And halfway through, we went, stop. Because a human plus AI makes you more efficient than a human. What we didn't expect was how quickly we were uncovering the insight, the pattern matching that we were seeing in the data that was coming back from us. I'll give you an example. Whoop. Anybody, you can tell I'm into fitness, obviously. Anybody wear a Whoop band in here? There we go. Yeah, the two skinny guys at the back obviously wear Whoop bands. So Whoop are a big customer of ours, and they were feeding all their consumer data in, and they were trying to figure out who their audiences are. And they had this really weird pattern match on 2 audience types. One was swimmers, and the other one was martial artists. I mean, they're pretty diverse as audiences, right? They couldn't figure out why the content resonated as well with both parties. What they realized is if you're getting the hell kicked out of you on a Sunday, you definitely want to do something light on a Monday. So they had this insight that showed that the martial artists who trained hard at the weekend were looking for lightweight sports to help them recover, but still exercise the day after they'd been in either a fight or in a heavy training session. And they wouldn't have been able to discover that unless they had that kind of immediate impact and insight loop that they got from AI decisioning. One of our big customers, pet grooming, is apparently insane in America. I mean, I have 4 dogs. They've never been to the pet groomers, okay? I don't think I've ever cut their hair. Hair's not a big subject in my house. It's banned, obviously. But in America, they love turning their poodles into zebras and striping their chihuahuas and so on. And PetSmart, who are a huge customer in the US, were really trying to understand a propensity to spend on grooming based on the breed of dog that you had. Now, that makes complete sense to me. I've got some scraggy old dogs that we rescued out of Battersea. They definitely don't need grooming and would be very offended if we groomed them. But what they really wanted to do is they wanted to say, look, actually, if the goal for running an AI agent campaign is upping salon bookings, they kind of attacked an audience of non-salon attendees and then correlated that with breed of dog. If you've got a Frison Biget or a 18-foot French poodle, you're not letting that look unprofessional at the tennis club. So when they actually started to focus on that correlation of those 3 bits of data, what they found is the agent would optimize data on grooming, not just in-store and the vouchers that were being printed out for them that were giving them pictures of their dogs both before and after groom, very clever, but also targeting them on email on grooming pricing and really helping that AI agent learn and discover. And everybody was getting their own different grooming. Is it about clipping the claws and making them look good, or is it just trying to get rid of the smell that my husband or wife is trying to kill me exists inside the house? And it depended on the type of dog and the type of person, the activity that they had. It was really based on them and their individual content. Pricing was individualized. Have you seen the Sainsbury's advert where they're going to individualize the pricing of your basket? So it's really clever. What they're going to say is that the top 10 things that you buy in Sainsbury's, they're going to give you price reductions just on those top 10 things. Think about it, it's genius, because it keeps you buying the expensive wine because you get it £1 cheaper. Oh, I'm in, 100%. I'm getting rosé £1 off, fantastic. Whereas a person who's got a lesser basket is still kept happy because they're focused in their top 10 items. Individualized pricing is really what we're starting to see as a personalization kind of V2.0. They're giving people coupons based on A, what they're interested in, and B, at a price rate that is appropriate to them. That gets interesting. And we're unlocking insight that's deeper than we've really ever seen before. We're getting these marketing feedback loops that are uncovering hidden patterns and correlations that sit in the data in a much more immediate way, in a way that really allows us to start making decisions, or actually to make less decisions, to allow our agents to make decisions on the data that exists inside our organization. Now I'm going to talk about the really buzzword stuff, the marketing superbrain. This is something that we're talking about at Hightouch. Our 2 founders are insanely 25 and 30 years of age. It still blows my mind. I'm only a few years older than them, but they're just these 2 super brains that I think hang upside down in the lounge at the weekends and code. They're building this concept of, I still can't get my head around that people in this room have definitely spent more than $1 million on a product. And on Monday morning, they've kind of gone, right, what are we going to do with it? I mean, that's why you have great people like CACI to help you. But they'd probably come in and go, what do you want to do with it? You spend all this money, Snowflake have built this AI data cloud for you. You've now put this solution that sits on top of it. Why are we telling the product what to do? Why is it not telling us what to do? Why are those agents not working in the background? Why are they not giving us campaign creation, content ideation, briefings on campaigns? Why are they not building the audiences for us? And all we really need, we just need one of these. We need a UI that allows us to do that. That's what blew me away about that HelloFresh comment I talked about earlier. When they leaned in and the head of data science at HelloFresh said quietly, I think our data scientists are smarter than yours. I went, yeah, no doubt. You're like a technology company who delivers food. I mean, who thought food would be a $5 billion business, eh? Food delivery. I mean, I delivered pizzas when I was 16, 17 on my bike. I did not make $5 billion, I'll tell you that. Giving this ability for that marketer to understand data is really where CDPs were born. It's where Snowflake was born. Putting data into a structured way that it was stored and easy to interrogate, to run models on, is the basis of all of our companies in this room. I've spoken to a couple of people this morning who say, oh yeah, we're in Money Supermarket or we're in Golf Breaks. Actually, we're all in tech companies that kind of choose to pick a product. I was with Wolt a couple of weeks ago. They're the German DoorDash Deliveroo. This is a brilliant story. They were building a customer experience platform before the pandemic. And someone rushed into the office and went, hey, I think this pandemic means we might stay at home. Should we use this customer experience platform to kind of do food delivery? And someone went, that's a bloody good idea. They sold that business to DoorDash for about $2 billion 2 years ago. They were building a technology company who pivoted to food delivery. Monzo is one of our big customers. They're not a bank, they're a technology company. HelloFresh, they don't sell recipes, they're a technology company. Just Eat Takeaways, who I'm going to have dinner with later on tonight, they're not a takeaway company, they're a technology company. Trainline, who we went to speak the other day, laughed at me and said, oh yeah, we kind of do tickets, but really we're a technology company. And we're really looking for these tools to give us velocity and speed to help us move faster. Oh, by the way, we're not buying a platform sale anymore. We don't believe you, Salesforce and Adobe. Sorry if there's any Salesforce and Adobe fans in the room. We don't believe you. We know you bought your product from people like me over the last 20 years and stuck them together with double-sided sticky tape and a plastic tube. Okay? It's not best of breed. It's just a bunch of products pulled together. I want this to fit inside my technology stack. I don't want to replace my technology stack. I want it to be collaborating inside the technology stack. I don't want it to replace everything. I really want to start building models that are allowing me to pull some of these, reinforcement learning, it's a great thing. RLs, it allows you to look at behaviors and patterns. Causal AI is the next big step for me, the what-if scenarios. I want these to sit inside my organization without having to rip everything out and replace them. I want to buy, or I want to use a product that allows me to build and supercharge the agents. This is my one sales slide that you got away with. I like it. Matt, it's not as good as yours, I hate it, it's bad. But I really want to help my marketers move 10 times faster. I want them to have access to 10 times more information, 10 times more learning, and I want them to create 10 times more content. Who's done it? Well, here's some of the interesting pictures. We've talked about PetSmart. They saw about a 22% lift on salon bookings in the US based on targeting on dog breeds and audiences. And all they asked was for you to tell the dog that you had when you logged in, which feels quite, that doesn't feel too invasive, right? I'm going to a pet shop with a dog. I feel okay about telling them about my dog. Fundrise was really interesting. They're a big American fund investment firm, like we've all got lots of money right now to spend on funds. They kind of 4x'd their investments just by figuring out who to target based on what people's stock picks and preferences were when they spoke to their agents. Whoop's a really interesting one. They are going to change the world. Oura is the next customer we're talking to, the Oura ring. I don't know if anybody has an Oura ring. If you're, I'm going to be sexist, apologies. If you're a female, you must buy one of these. My wife uses it. It is the most incredible thing for managing cycles, for where you are, for how you feel, for body temperatures, how you're sleeping, and how that's all putting together. For me, I have problems sleeping, so it really helps me get through a routine before bedtime. The kind of agents that are running in the background, it's only a few years before this is telling me I'm getting a cold or I'm getting sick. You know, who do you want to go and see? The 52-year-old doctor who may or may not have learned about your illness whilst he was or she was at medical school, or something that has access to, you know, 4 billion customers' symptoms and temperatures and causes. I know where I'm putting my money. It's not in the 52-year-old doddery old GP in my village. It's really being able to track this, and Whoop is really starting to build this infrastructure where it can track and predict and give you advice on how you should behave. Weight Watch is very interesting. They gave us 3 AI decisioning campaigns that they were absolutely convinced would drive a rise in revenue. We performed at 46% more efficient on all 3 of those AID campaigns, and the revenue didn't go up 1 cent because they didn't have an organization like CACI telling them where to focus their data. So they got insight to understand. And for me, HelloFresh is kind of my favorite. They're a real pioneer on how you use data and how you use agents to drive output. They literally have more data scientists than we have at Hightouch, and half my business is in engineering and product development. They really want to optimize every single last penny that they spend and tie every pound of marketing spend to an end result. So they are using AI decisioning to manage every single outsend that goes through their business. I think it's 4 billion messages a year to something like 70 million customers across a multitude of countries, all going through AID to make sure that the right content is going to the right person at the right time that has the right impact and therefore drives the right action and the right revenue. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that's been interesting.